Everything this generation does, from how they grocery shop, to how they watch television, to how they plan their weddings, revolves around community. They are not hiring you so that they can delegate, push it off their plate, and have you do everything. They are hiring you to invite you to join their vision and to join their team. They've created a team. They value peer feedback. This was the first generation to grow up in the digital age, and the first generation to really they think for themselves, but they kind of don't really think for themselves. They need everyone weighing in. They want to know what their mom thinks. They want to know what their best friend thinks. They want to know what their college roommate for one semester freshman year thinks. They want to know everything. And this shift actually has nothing to do with social media. Social media just mimics how they've always acted. This shift stems back to the late 1970s, early 1980s. The educational curriculum in the United States shifted, and they put a focus on teamwork. So these people getting married grew up in teams, in groups at tables. They couldn't turn a book report in until they got group consensus. They couldn't do a math project without group consensus. 5 heads were better than 1. The Lone Ranger method was shunned. And so they really look to their friends and their peers when they are making decisions. Of the generations represented in the room, we have 4 generations: the silent generation, the baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials. And whoever named it the silent generation obviously has never met Sylvia. And millennials are the generation we're talking about right now. They were born between 1979 and 2000, so the oldest is 33 and the youngest is 12. They are the largest generation on the planet today. 1 in 3 people alive are millennials, and they are now the majority consumer group for weddings. As of 2007, they became the largest group. Up until 2007, we were working with Gen X brides and grooms. And that's another note. Up until 2007, we were really working with Gen X brides. Today, 65% of grooms are actively involved in their wedding planning process. They have opinions, and it's not just about the food and the band. It's about the flowers and the shade of the bridesmaid's dress and those types of things. Millennials are an entrepreneurial generation. They work hard. A common myth about millennials, and it's normally said by people who you think their next sentence is going to be, "Get off my lawn." But a myth about millennials is that they're lazy, and millennials are not lazy. They're willing to work hard for the things they value. And again, they value their community. Their number 1 priority is their friends and their family. And in fact, if you offer a millennial the option of a millennial employee, the option between taking a raise or unpaid vacation time, the majority will opt for the unpaid vacation time. And not because of laziness, but because it's more time to spend with the people they love. Gen Y at a glance, they're confident. They're traditional. They're most often referred to and compared to the group of men coming back from World War II, that band of brothers mentality. We're all in this together. We're not going to leave anyone behind, and we want to make sure that everyone knows what's going on and everyone has the best time possible. They're generous. 1 in 3 millennials are a third more likely to volunteer their time for organizations they care about. And in 2010, they were the generation that donated the most money to charity. They're optimistic. They believe the world can change for the better. And if no one else will change it, they believe they're the ones who are going to. And they have laser-focused BS detectors. They know when you're full of it, and they are not afraid to call you on it. Social media has made this really easy for them too. Millennials are confident. They grew up being told they could be whatever they wanted to be, that they could do anything they wanted to do, and that they were really unique, special snowflakes. Full disclosure, I'm a millennial, and I am a special snowflake. But millennials are also referred to as the trophy kids because they got awards for anything and everything. They got awards and ribbons just for showing up. Don't worry, honey, you're not the loser, you're just the last winner. And as a result, millennials don't really care about awards that much. And awards have been a mainstay of luxury marketing for a long time. However, their parents care, and millennials love their parents. Their parents are part of that community that they're trusting for feedback. And so if mom says, and millennials name mom as their #1 role model, if mom says that the fact that a resort is 5 stars, or that this photographer won photojournalist of the year, or etc., they're going to listen to that and value it. So not only are you marketing to your core client, the bride and groom, who's this new generation, you're marketing to every single person they're listening to. The wedding planner's opinion is no longer the gold standard. They're taking the wedding planner's opinion and running it past their friends on Facebook and their acquaintances and their neighbors and their veterinarian's assistant. Everyone, they're getting feedback on that. And this isn't a trust issue. Again, it goes back to their education. This is how they were raised. This is how they were taught to make decisions. They're also a wanted generation. According to the US Census, 50% of children born between 1990 and 2000 were conceived with the help of fertility treatments. Their parents spent a lot of time and emotional energy and money to even have these children. So once they had them, they did everything they could to give them the best that they could afford. And in some cases, they did what they could to give them the best that they couldn't afford. And because millennials grew up having access to the best, they now expect the best at any price point. Being great is no longer a differentiator of luxury. Being great is the new standard. So again, luxury marketing tends to say, well, we're the best, so you should hire us. We have the best portfolio, we have the best reputation, all the editors know us. But millennials are saying, that's great, what else are you bringing to the table? Excuse me. So you have to be more. Being more is the new standard. And millennials value equality. Everyone's equal, but everyone's equal on a VIP level. We're all VIP. Everyone's up here. So if you give one client VIP treatment and not the other, they'll talk to each other and they're going to find out. And the one you didn't give it to is obviously going to be upset, but the one you did give it to is not going to feel more special. They're going to be upset that you're not treating everyone equally. According to American Express, 43% of luxury spend is by millennials, and millennials are expected to outspend boomers by 2017, just 5 years. And with this shift in who's spending and who's purchasing luxury comes a shift in how it's approached. The definition of luxury hasn't changed. Luxury hasn't changed, but the way this generation relates to it is very different than the other generations. And the biggest shift is this, and it's a little bit controversial, just telling you up front, and it's this. Millennials do not call luxury, luxury. And here's why. By definition, luxury is something frivolous. It's something unnecessary. It's something you don't need. But millennials feel that their own luxury purchases are needs. They're not frivolous. A wedding certainly isn't frivolous. So if you're calling yourself a luxury wedding planner, a luxury wedding photographer, a luxury wedding resource, millennials have a disconnect with that because sure, everyone else is having luxury weddings, but my wedding is special. My wedding is not frivolous. It is not luxury. And so they want to make sure that if they're spending money with you, that you get that. Rebecca shared a little bit yesterday, but the luxury segment of the wedding population is 4%. And of that 4%, 5% of luxury weddings are $1 million or more. So even at that level, people want to know that you have their best interest in mind. Millennials care about their wedding guests. Rebecca shared yesterday, 100% of the millennials, or not just the millennials, but of every bride and groom in the luxury segment said that taking care of their guests was very important. It was a top priority for them, and that it mattered. I personally feel this is great because as a woman in her 30s who works in the wedding industry, going to weddings isn't always that fun as a guest. And by the way, working in this industry is really great for first dates. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I think about weddings all day long. Goes over really well. But they care about their guests. They want their guests to have a great experience. The princess wedding, me, 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 it's all about me. I'm the bridezilla, the groom's an accessory, out of my way. The guests can eat stale chicken, I don't care. Do I look good? Is my tiara straight? Those days are over, thankfully. It's now about, are my guests having a great experience? Are they dancing? Millennials are willing to spend more on food, and they're willing to spend more on entertainment because that gets the guests in a great mood. And as Rebecca shared yesterday, some of our research from Splendid Insights, millennials want people to say their wedding was the best wedding ever. Millennials also respect heritage. And for the luxury market, this is great because heritage means everything in the history of luxury brands. And millennials really like this. They want to know your story. And they don't just respect the heritage of your story and of your brand. They respect the heritage and they want to know the story behind the product and the service itself. The majority of millennials want to know where their food is grown, how it's harvested, whose are the people harvesting it being paid fairly, that sort of thing. And so for the venues and the planners and the caterers in the room, if your staff can have educated, intelligent conversations about where the food came from and the process behind it, beyond just the taste and presentation style, you will definitely sell a lot more. And the problem with this one, with millennials respecting heritage, is that there are a lot of people here who invented things. A lot of you in this room have been around for 20 years or more. You are the ones who started the trends that brides now think are brand new. You started them a long time ago, and they've come back in fashion and that sort of thing. But the problem is you're not telling your stories. And millennials want to hear your stories. If you invented something, own it. Start talking about it. Claim it. Let people know. And you can do this in a non-obnoxious, non-arrogant way. But as my friend and colleague Sean Lowe says, a closed mouth has no credibility. If you're not telling people that you invented that in 1992, then the person who comes along in 2006 and claims they invented it and puts it on the internet that they invented it, millennials have no way to research that it was you because you're not putting it out there. So go ahead, put your story out there and let people know and really just tell them. Like Carly said yesterday, there's a difference between chutzpah and hubris. You can do it in a tactful way, but these stories need to get out there, and people need to start knowing that this industry has a depth and that there is history behind the decisions they're making. And again, that will help you sell more. Thank you.